Welcome everyone to the Wake Up Call channel. Newly released footage, body cam footage from the Donald Trump assassination attempt is a must-see. It's a must-see for a lot of reasons. Number one, you have to ask yourself the question of why they're releasing this footage. And if you're paying attention to the narratives, what they're trying to do is they're trying to bait the MAGA cult followers of Donald Trump into thinking that this was a deep state Democrat coup to try to have him killed. The footage you're going to see will show you police officers seeing the shooter on top of the building a good 39 seconds before shots were fired. One of the police officers pops his head up on the building, and instead of doing his job as a police officer, of course, he runs away from the scene only to allow the shooter to get the shots off. Which just shows us that this right here is a staged event. The narrative that they want out there is that Donald Trump is such a savior for humanity, for conservatives, that the deep state is trying to kill him, that the deep state is doing everything they can now to silence this story. And what they're doing is actually gaslighting them by not talking about this story anymore and by releasing body cam footage which shows police officers being completely incompetent. What else does it show? Well, it shows local police complaining about the Secret Service. So in this video clip that I'm about to play for you, you'll see police officers complaining that the Secret Service didn't do what they were supposed to do. While, of course, the police officers themselves climb up and see the shooter and then run away from the shooter, right? The narratives that are out there, newly released video shows chaos and confusion after Trump assassination attempt. So when you see these headlines, you have to start asking yourself, well, what are they trying to make people out there feel? They want to make sure that all the conservatives out there feel that this was nothing more than the deep state trying to take out Donald Trump. And we see that they fully believe this. They refuse to believe that the left and the right are working together, that they are in deep the psychological operation. They refuse to believe it. The other stuff to note while you watch this video clip, it's how the beginning of the clip that they released, remember, they don't have to release this. They deliberately release it. So you have to ask yourself why they're releasing this. How often do they release body cam footage? Sometimes they do, but in a lot of events, they don't. They release this footage. Why? Because they want you to see it. They want you to see incompetency. They want you to see how clearly it looked like nobody was doing their job so that you think that this was done on purpose, that these people were put in these positions to allow Donald Trump to get assassinated, when the fact of the matter is this is a staged event. The other thing to note, in addition to the audio being out for the beginning of the clip, and then of course the officer shuts his body cam footage off right as they get to the roof. Now, why would you ever do that? Why would you shut the body cam footage off right when you get up to the top of the roof? Something made him shut off his body cam. So the police officer who in the beginning climbs up, sees him, runs away, runs around. You'll see the footage yourself where he's talking to himself. He's like, the shooter turned on me. I mean, it looks like it's out of a cheesy film. And then when he gets up to the body, he decides to shut his camera off. And of course, the obvious thing to note is the clock. You'll see on the screen 18, the hour 18, which is really 6. That's military time. It's 6 p.m. 6:11:33 is when the shots were fired. So you have your 666, your 6 with the 11. You have your 33 coding right in there. The shooter is spotted at 6:10:54, which will show up as 18:10:54 on the screen. And at 18:11:33, the first shot is fired with no police officers doing anything to stop it from actually happening, which gives the perspective to the MAGA audience that they're allowing it to happen, that they wanted it to happen, instead of looking at it and saying what it really was, which was a staged event where they conveniently missed the ear of Donald Trump. And remember, the type of technology they have, if they wanted him dead, he'd be dead. I mean, there's videos, there's things you can look up of the type of weaponry the government has. One of the funnier things that are out there is even like 1975, when the CIA had a committee, a Senate committee hearing, where they were talking about how they could fire pistols that would shoot shellfish toxin as poisonous ammunition onto people and kill them without them even knowing it. There's all these weapons that are out there. If they wanted Donald Trump out, they could have taken him out a million times. They could have taken him out, like I said, on a golf course, okay? They did this event in front of everybody because they wanted everybody out there to see it. because it plays into this production that they're producing. So without further ado, take a look at this body cam footage that was conveniently just released.
Dude, you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit
I hope he's turning this way. Be careful, guys.
What are you
close, bro. Dude, he turned around on me. He's straight up.
Okay, we have 2 civilians attending to him.
I don't know. Who's got eyes on him?
Back up.
Seriously, he was right where you picked me up, bro. He was on that left side.
It's ASAP. I need ASAP. Ladies and start in the stands, the four stands. I need an ambulance to the back where the clearance.
Get them out of here! Get them out! Yo, Blasco. Yo, you about to hop up. He's laying down. He's got an arm. Next building over. Right after the gap. He's got glasses, long hair. Need a ladder. So get a hole. Yo, Mike, I climbed the wall and I popped my head right in front of him, bro. He's got a book bag, he's got mag, AR laying down. Yeah, he's laying down, pruned out, book bag next to him. Give me a f***ing hard line. Most sections over here. Straight up section over here. That's why I got calling back here. But watch out, because he can come right down on you over there. Oh, this is going to drop. Oh. Keep eyes on. Give me a ladder. Go! Eyes up! Is that Matt? Bruh.
Control on the ambulance to the stands.
Keep eyes up! Eyes up! This building, he was on top of this building, the left one. I jumped up.
Go by the yellow crane. This is a very
laying down. There's a gap in between you and there.
Get an ambulance to the VIP tent.
Yeah.
We have a unit on the roof.
Affirmative. Yo, Chess, you got me up once, bro. Yo, Chess, you got me up once. Give me up again. Ready? Ready? Yep. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yep.
And a special thanks to Milk Bar TV for the way that was synced, where you could actually see Trump on stage along with the body cam footage. So you could really piece it together and see how these police officers, I mean, first of all, there's no ladder, right? Even at the end of the video, they're trying to help. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's a debacle, right? This would be basic, you don't need any military training. You don't need any police training. Just say, well, if there's the president's going to be there, every building should be secure, right? And you should probably have access to a ladder to get on top of those buildings. And in fact, really what would have occurred is you would have had Secret Service on top of those buildings. You wouldn't have had them completely empty. That way, if somebody was on top and it wasn't Secret Service, they could have seen him and taken him out. But what you saw is the police officers clearly see the guy, run away from the guy, and then you see all the confusion in between. You see bumbling around. You see the police officer even struggling to put his magazine in his, he can't even load his gun properly, right? And then towards the end, they don't even have a ladder to get on top of the roof. They're trying to figure out how to get on top of the roof. And then you see the shooter lying there as he turns off the camera, right? Again, why would you shut the camera off right at that point? It makes no sense. So these things are getting released. And of course, this is all psychological. So everybody out there who's a MAGA cult follower, and that's what they really become, is a cult in a sense. They refuse to listen to reason. You could show them everything in the book, and they refuse to believe it, which is scary. It's scary and it's sad, but that's how this entire operation works, right? It's psychological. It's in your mind. So these people are so invested in this. They refuse to actually come out of it. And every little thing that they're doing deliberately, they don't realize that they're doing it. The media is doing it to get them to love and support Trump more. So by them not talking about the assassination anymore, everybody out there is noticing that. Why aren't they talking about the assassination? Why aren't they talking about the assassination, right? So they're getting angry that the media is not covering it anymore. They know this. That's why they're not covering it. They're trying to bait you, right? Then they release the body cam footage where you actually have local police officers stumbling around, which makes them even angrier that there wasn't proper people in place. And then you have the local police complaining again about the Secret Service. That's the narrative they want out there, that the Secret Service was in on. That narrative of sabotage from within. His own people around him can't be trusted. The government themselves are trying to take him out. And again, they could have taken him out. They can take him out whenever they want. He's a sitting duck, really, as a civilian. If the government wants to take you out, they can take you out. Okay? And if you're sitting on a golf course every other day, where clearly these people know where they could find you, they know where you are at all times. It's the same type of psyop we see over in Ukraine, where they're like, oh man, Russia wants to take out Zelensky. Meanwhile, Zelensky's on national television every day. He's at the Grammy Awards. He's all over the place, and they still haven't taken him out, right? But the whole goal was supposedly to take out Zelensky, and these people just eat the bait. They drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So other narratives that are out there is that Trump just spoke again. And what did he speak about? Well, he spoke about how he's a fast healer, right? He's a fast healer. They want you to know he's a fast healer because they don't want you to catch on at all to the fact that his ear is perfectly fine. They don't want you to catch on to the fact that his hand, when he said his hand was covered in blood, there was no blood on his hand. And of course, how he posed for that photograph, because that's what the entire simulated event was about. If they really wanted him dead, they would have killed him at any point in time. They could have went after him and taken him out, right? They wanted it on TV. They wanted it at a rally. They wanted everybody to see it. And he had to stage himself for that photograph, because that photograph is causing the hysteria, the psychosis, to worsen and worsen. And it's only gotten worse over the last couple of weeks. We haven't seen a psychosis like this in a long time, where so many conservatives / Christians are falling in love so much so with a political figure and they're thinking that they're seeing stuff, right? That's what's scary. They're thinking that they're seeing these things. Like, oh man, did you notice the media's not covering? When the media is doing this stuff deliberately so that you react and say that, right? They're releasing this body cam footage to make you even think deeper and deeper that it's the deep state, that it's the Secret Service that is allowing this to happen. They're thinking that they're discovering this stuff by being detectives themselves. I mean, they're just feeding them all of this. And they don't understand that when you watch things through the lens of the television set, you're watching it through a lie. You're watching a simulated reality. They can't get to that point, and that's the problem that they're having. But Trump, again, talked about his ear and how he's a fast healer.
Yeah, pretty much recovered, yeah. I'm a fast healer. It's a hell of a shot, but I'm a fast healer. Yeah, pretty much recovered.
Do you have any hearing damage from?
No, it didn't hit that. I got very lucky. It just hit the lobe, as they call it.
Is there a scar on your ear?
Yeah, a little bit, not much. On top, a little bit.
Right, and he's a real fast healer. So other things to note with the body cam footage, again, like I mentioned, the timestamps, and other things that are out there are stories about how the Democrats are trying to tank the ticket, right? This is a theme that they went after. Think of the underlying theme with everything I showed you, and then stuff like this. Carrie Lake saying, is she trying to tank the ticket? People are stunned by Kamala Harris picking Tim Walz. Tim Walz, if you don't know, is as liberal as it gets. He's as ridiculous as it gets. This is a guy that's putting tampons in the men's room, mandating it, all these things like this, and they deliberately did this. They picked somebody who would be able to gaslight conservatives into whether or not they want to move state to state, but they're also making it completely unbelievable, right? They're picking two of the most incompetent people that you could possibly imagine. That's done by design, right? Kamala Harris and this guy Walz. Everybody looks at it like, oh, there's no way, right? The Republicans and the media are trying to say, well, they're sabotaging their own ticket. There's no way they're going to win, which tells me more and more that it's likely they are going to win this fake election so that they can bring down the infrastructure. The more unbelievable they make the ticket, the more ridiculous they make this charade, the more easy it'll be to manipulate and move people around. And keep in mind the other theme with this guy, Tim Walz, and with Kamala Harris is the fact that we're actually going to have somebody running for president, supposedly running, right, which is not real, which this whole thing proves to you. That didn't even receive a vote to be put in the position to run for president, right? They're just placed in the position. Kamala Harris is being played, and it shows you how dumbed down society is and how much so these people know that nobody out there is paying attention and nobody out there cares, that they could take Kamala Harris. She doesn't have to be elected. She doesn't have to be voted into the position to be the Democratic representative. All she needs is an endorsement from a few people like Barry Soetoro, Barack Obama, and Hillary Clinton. They could place her in. That's not legal. That's not how this system works. You can't just, the bunch of people who aren't in power anymore can't just say, we want that to be the person, and then put them on television and say, they're the candidate. The people are supposed to vote. It shows you how ridiculous this is, which makes it seem even more likely that they will put them in those positions as president and vice president, because these are people who will destroy the infrastructure. These are the types of people, Kamala and Tim Walz, that'll be able to take conservatives and move them to states or make them become completely unhinged, that they'll do whatever the conservative political figures tell them to do. If they tell them to move to conservative states, they'll do it. Because this is the perfect person to pick. You couldn't have picked a more perfect person. The other one would have been Pete Buttigieg as the vice president, but this is even better because this guy's a lunatic. I mean, this is a guy that was all about the riots, the stage government riots that they had out there during BLM. He was all for it. He's putting tampons in the men's room. He wants 5-year-olds to get castrated. The perfect person to put in there, right? The ultimate opposition of Christianity in the Republican side. So the body cam footage deliberately coming out. The narrative continually being that the deep state's responsible, The conservatives, while the VP has been picked, are saying, oh, this is a slam dunk. There's no chance. Getting everybody in their mind to think, well, this will all be over in a few months anyway, and Donald Trump will get to the bottom of it when he's president again, because there's no chance that anybody would vote for Kamala Harris or this other guy. Because if they were going to pick anybody more incompetent than Biden, it would have been Kamala, which is why it's surprising, but it makes sense to do this. It makes sense for them to go, oh, look, she won. And for people to go, there's no chance that she won. There's no chance that anyone voted for her. There's no chance that this could be a president. This country is screwed. We're going under. We're going to be destroyed. We're going into World War III. We're going to have we're going to have tampons in the men's room. It's all being deliberately done. So the body cam footage, let me know what you think about the body cam footage. I mean, it's laughable because the first thing you should just think is like, okay, why are they releasing it, right? Because they don't have to do this, right? We can look at the timestamp and we can laugh, but is anything more laughable than the police officers with no ladder helping each other up like this is some, like this is two kids on the railroad tracks, right? Helping them up, and not only helping them up to look up there, seeing the shooter up there, right? It's not like he helped him look up there and there's no one up there. That still would be ridiculous. But he sees the shooter, and what is his first response? Now let me circle around and let me run away. Instead of confronting the shooter and shooting the shooter. I am a police officer. I am supposed to protect the president. I mean, my mind would immediately be going, oh my gosh, I better do something fast. And if you want to think even further down in your mind, you'd be thinking about, oh my gosh, you could be responsible for this. If you don't take this guy out, he could kill the president. You could go to jail. Your response wouldn't be to run away unless you were, a child or someone completely incompetent. But that's what they want you to think. Wow, he ran away. That is suspicious. He ran away. He's an idiot. He ran away. The Secret Service should have been there. Why weren't they there? Because the Secret Service did it, because Trump is going to save everybody from the deep state. This is all psychologically working on the masses. We're all seeing it on a day in, day out basis. The conservatives are taking it hook, line, and sinker, and they're thinking that all this stuff, with the media no longer covering the assassination, that all this stuff is, they're figuring it out, like as if the media is not gaslighting them and doing this deliberately to make them more inclined to believe that the deep state's responsible. It's incredible. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families, as always.